Hi, GCPC. Coming to you now in our third week of Lent. I am very aware of all of the ways it feels like we're moving into spring. The weather has been lovely. You can hear the birds because I've left the doors open as much as possible. But I'm also feeling this need for more air, for more expansiveness in the midst of this journey of Lent. Partly because as I get joyful about the things that I'm seeing outside, the ways I feel because I get to be outside and sit in the sun, I am also aware that there is still so much going on in the system that needs to be addressed, and conversations that I continue to be a part of that take a lot of energy. But they're also conversations that I feel called to have, that I think is part of my walk of discipleship, my walk of leadership. And I've noticed lately, or I guess more frequently, that where I feel like I'm called is not just to speak around justice, around equity, but to help people recognize the truth about their own behavior, which does seem like simple. But I think the thing is that white supremacy helps us justify almost any and everything we can think of, especially when defensiveness comes up in us, and myself included. I find myself, when confronted, mostly in myself, not necessarily that people are confronting me, but when things stir up in me that make me feel defensive, that I don't go to ownership automatically, I go to defensiveness or justification. And in that process for myself of noticing that, I have started noticing it in other people that I'm around, people who I care about, organizations that I think are doing really faithful work, but still have this growing edge of what it means to be both about liberation and to recognize that the best gift we can give one another is the honesty of what we are seeing going on, the ways we're experiencing it, the ways we need to do better and to do differently. So as we come off a Sunday where the passage is about Jesus turning over tables of holy anger and what it means to metabolize all of those feelings, to process those things, I want to invite you to think about places where the love act of honesty is being called out in you. And it may be being called out for the first time, especially in intimate places like our families and friendships, where that honesty hasn't always come easily or been a safe place. And I want us to recognize that really, for our siblings of color, there are no safe places, and that we need to walk into brave space, recognizing that all of us in some way hold some privilege to safe space, and that we are being called into some braver spaces. So I'm going to read you the poem that comes from our devotional Again and Again by Sanctified Art. I'm continually thankful for the ministry of these women who have come together and written such wonderful reflections for us. And this comes from Reverend Sarah R., and it is Flipping the Tables for the third week of Lent, where we are shown the way. I woke up and realized I was sitting at a table that oppression built. The patriarchy had made the food, cheap labor sewed the cloth, the guest list was exclusive, fear was the host. And the people seemed happy, but the food tasted awful, because milk and honey are reserved for God's promised day. So hold on to your silverware, because now that I see it, I can't unsee. This table is about to be flipped. Siblings, as you decide what it is that radical honesty and loving honesty might be your call today, this week, during this season. I pray that you recognize that it's not easy, that we will fumble, that we will probably make people feel uneasy, because table flipping does feel uneasy. But we are called to this work, not by ourselves, but with God and through God, and that the Spirit is there urging us, and that this community that we have found here also desperately wants to be a part of that together. So reach out, be strengthened by one another, go through a role play situation if needed. There are so many ways that we can be together in this work, even though we do not see each other on a weekly basis. I am praying for you, praying that as you hear and see the things that are going on, you recognize things like sirens, places where there is an urgent need for healing, for attention, for us to be honest. Peace be with you. Or honesty be with you. And may you find peace within that navigation. Amen.